Hey, what's up everyone? John here with WebDev for you, here to help you build awesome websites without code in Webflow. I do these live streams every Monday through Thursday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central, and we cover everything Webflow, from design systems to building full pages and layouts to creating or building interactions and animations. And I also provide quick support via the super chat function on YouTube. So if you need help with your personal project or have a question regarding your personal project, you can leave a super chat and I can help out. If there's any question related to Webflow in general, just feel free to ask in the chat and I'll be happy to answer it. So we have a fun build today in today's live stream. We're going to work with a few things. One thing that I'm super excited to share with you. So basically we're going to create this grid layout, just a few letters, but we're going to use grid, just get some practice with working with the grid feature in Webflow. And then we're going to create a different speed section. So a section that scrolls at a different speed than the rest of the site. So here as I scroll, you can notice that this middle section is scrolling at a different speed. So it's kind of like a parallax scroll effect. And it's really interesting how I went about creating this effect. And then we have another grid section here at the bottom. And if you hover over these letters, they just rotate. So it's just a little effect. And then I added a grain overlay over the website to give it more texture. So there's a lot to cover. We'll see if we can cover it all in 30 minutes. But yeah, we will get started. So just an overview of the agenda for today. From 12 to 12:30, we're going to design a grid layout and we're going to create an alternate speed scrolling effect. And then from 12:30 to 12:40, I'm going to field any questions about this build. And then from 12:40 to 1, we'll just have a general Webflow discussion and I'll field any super chats that you might have. So yeah, super excited to get the week started with this build. So I'm just going to breeze through it. It's just going to be a speed build. But as I'm building, if you have any questions, just let me know and I will answer them. So hi Tazaware, hey Joey Joe. Yeah, so I'm definitely more prepared this week. I know the last 2 days from last week was a bit of a freestyle, kind of free flowing. So this entire week, actually only today and Tuesday, because No Code Conf is Wednesday and Thursday. So just wanted to mention that there's not going to be live streams on Wednesday and Thursday because that is the No Code conference and I want to watch a few videos from the conference. So yeah, so today and tomorrow we'll definitely have a lot of kind of interesting things to work on. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get started with the build. So let's go to a blank project. If you're new to Webflow and you're just curious about what I'm doing, just let me know and I'll try to elaborate a bit more. But as I'm building, I just kind of breeze through it a little bit. So here we have the body, it's blank. So the first thing I'll start off with, I'll just add a div block and we'll call this the page wrapper. Page wrapper. And I might revisit the client first system. I do like their class naming convention, but that's about it. That's the only thing I'm going to kind of grab from that system. And as I'm going through the site, you'll see me using kind of that specific class naming convention. And I might revisit it. We might come back to it and build another site with the client first. Because even though we did about 2 weeks with it, I want to give it more time as well. Because I am considering it a bit more. So I definitely want to build a few more things with it. Yeah, so we have the page wrapper. And then I'll add a section in here. So this will be the top section. So I'm going to call this section-top. And I'm going to give it a min height of 100 VH, so it spans the full viewport, the full height of the viewport. And great, so now to the section top, I'm going to give it a, let me just double check to make sure this is what I did. Yeah, section top, we're going to give it a grid display setting, and we're going to set the grid to 4x2, right? Oh, and I didn't mention the inspiration for this site, which I should probably do. I just searched on Pinterest. I typed in websites or design sites, and I found this one here. It's called Smilte, and it is a theme, I think, for like WordPress or some other website system. And it was this one here, Portfolio Masonry. And basically I wanted to rebuild this. I didn't build the footer, but we can try to do that today as well. But I just liked the layout, right? It's just a simple layout with these different blocks, and I just noticed they have this nice hover effect that we can try to do as well. But then I noticed that this section scrolls slower than the rest of the site. So I thought, oh, that's an interesting effect. I wonder how I can do that in Webflow. So I spent some time, and that's what I'm going to showcase today. So Johnny wrote, hey, can you check your IG DM? Sent a question a few days ago about a button animation. Definitely, Johnny. I definitely, IG isn't, I don't check it that often. So any of that social media, but I probably should. So that's my bad. But yeah, if you want to ask your question here, I can definitely check it out as well. And we'll get to it after 12:40 in the Webflow discussion part of the live stream. All right, so we have a 2x2 grid. I want a 4x2, so we'll add 2 more columns. I'll go ahead and remove the gap between the columns and rows. So we have a 4x2 grid, okay? And great, so I'll just add a div block in here, and let me see what I named this. Okay, yep, so each one, so this is top grid wrapper 1, and I'll just expand it to fill 4 blocks. I'll add another div block, and this will be top grid wrapper 2. I'll add another div. This will be top grid wrapper 3. We'll add another div, and this will be top grid wrapper 4. And then we'll add another div, and this will be top grid wrapper 5. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grid elements. So yeah, as far as the color, I just went to coolers.co. So let's go ahead and go to coolers.co, and we'll give each grid cell a specific color. So let's explore, and let's just find a color palette. This one's kind of nice. Let's use this, kind of a vintage color palette, and let's open it. Or maybe let's use this one. I kind of like this one. Open generator, and we'll use these colors. Okay, so I'll copy this one and go in here. So for the background of this one, we'll go into the background color. We'll just add it, and that's not the color. So let's go to the color palette, and I will copy it here and paste. Click the plus to make it a global swatch, click create. Then I'll grab this color and we'll add it down here. Create a global swatch. So I'm just adding it to global swatches so we can access them easily. So I like these kind of earth tone colors. They're quite nice. And create. And we'll add this color here. So there's not too much contrast except to this one, so I might work with that a little bit. All right, so we have our colors. So I'm gonna set the burly, this color here, and then we'll do this color here. Actually, I'm not, they're okay. We'll roll with it. I'm not gonna spend too much time here with the colors, but there's our colors. Looks interesting. Okay, so now for the font, I'm using a specific font. I'm using Sign. So if you've seen my live stream, you know that I like using that font. So let's go and install that font. So I'm gonna do Sign, and it is right here. I'll just install these fonts. They're Google fonts. For anyone coming into the live stream, we're just building a grid section and a section that scrolls differently than the rest of the site. So it scrolls at a different speed. Great. So let's go ahead and add that text. Let me just double check. Yeah. So for this section, I will set it to flex center center. So whatever I place in here will be in the center. And I'll go ahead and add a text block. Okay. And we'll call this, top grid letter. Okay. And then here I'll say A, and we'll set it to sign, and we'll make it extra bold and make it really big. So I think I used 200. For this one, I used 380. So 380 and 1 dash, okay? And we'll change the color here. We'll pick this color. Yeah, it looks nice when you add kind of contrasting colors in there. And we'll add a, let's see here, a text shadow. Where is it? Text shadow right here, okay. And hey Manuel, how's it going? We'll add this one, and the distance will be, the blur will be 0, the distance will be 20, and we'll set it to 135. All right, cool. Yeah, 135. All right, and then I'll copy, let's see, top. Okay, so this will be top grid letter, and I'll give it a combo class of 2, and it'll be 200. We'll make it 200, and then we'll set this to flex, center, center, and we'll just change the colors here. So this will be like a green, and then the shadow will be like a brown, okay? And then we'll just copy this. Again, we have to set this wrapper to center, center. Let's remove this combo class and just set it to 3. And we'll make it 200. And let's change the color. Let's try that. And then the shadow will make it lighter. Nice. And one in here, so let's paste that. And we'll change the color here to, oh, let's remove the combo class. And we'll say 4. And again, 200. Yeah, actually I like that color there. And we'll do something like that. And maybe we'll change the color. Okay, that works. Okay. Here we'll set it to flex, center, center. Paste that in there, and here we'll say 5. Okay, and 200 for the text. And that's the text shadow. So let's do, yeah, let's do that one. And sure, okay, cool. And we'll just change the letter A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, so that's the top section. Looks interesting. So we just created a grid section in Webflow. All right, so the next thing we want to do is add the middle section. So I'll add a section, and this is the fun part. This is where we're going to kind of make an offset image or have the middle part scroll at a different speed. So we'll call this section middle, and we'll set the min height to 100 VH. And here I'll add a div block. So Command K. And here, Command K, div, and we'll call this, what did I call this? Middle image wrapper, okay? So we'll say middle image wrapper. And this image wrapper is gonna be 150 VH. And this will make sense in a second. Let me just double check this. Yeah, the min height will be 150 VH, okay? So the reason it's 150 is because we're gonna move, as the page is scrolling, we're gonna move it 50 VH quicker than the rest of the site. And this will make sense in just a second. Let's go to Unsplash. I'm not gonna go ahead and try to style those shapes to that color. So we'll just say abstract or black and white, just so it doesn't detract from the colors of the site. Or you know what, let's just do mountains. Mountains is always a good default. Yeah, sure, we'll do this one. And show in Finder. Or we can actually, I have some ideas. Oh wait, I have a cool idea. So let's pick a different picture, abstract background. I want it to be landscape. Yeah, let's do this one. or this one here. So we'll download it and we'll add this picture. All right, let's add it to Webflow, and let's see, let's go ahead and add it in here. So what I'm gonna do to this image, so we'll add it in the background here, and I'm going to, let's see, add a background image, choose the image, we'll go ahead and add it, set it to cover, center, and not tiled, okay? And I'm gonna add a filter and just set it to black and white, grayscale. And here I'm gonna add a div block, and we'll say image color overlay. Set it to, let me set the image wrapper to relative, and this to absolute and full. And I'll add a color. So we'll say, oh no, that's not gonna work, okay. Yeah, the overlay needs to be added to the section and on top. So let's do position absolute. This section needs to be relative, and image overlay is the index of 99. And then we'll just change the opacity. Maybe a little bit higher. That doesn't quite work. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the image overlay. Yeah, we'll just add the mountains for now, just to get that parallax feel. Okay, did save. All right, let's see. Hey, what's up, Dylan? Okay, so let me replace this image. And let's see if it works with this. Oh yeah, that's not bad. That actually works out better. Okay, so we have the image overlay. So for the section middle, because it's 100 VH, I'm gonna set the overflow to hidden. Okay. So it's just a full 100 VH section, and I think, yeah, okay, cool. Yep. Yeah, so that looks good. And then I'll copy and paste this top section. So copy and paste, and we have it at the bottom. So let me see here. So we have the section middle, 100 VH. This is 150. So I think I might have done something different here. Yeah, because the overlay is 150 VH. Okay, yeah, I guess that'll work. Let me see. Oh yeah, and the image has to be fixed, I believe. So let's see here. Let me just double check. So image wrapper 150 VH. Oh yeah, okay, so the image wrapper, I got it. The image wrapper is fixed. So the middle image wrapper is set to a position of fixed and full. Okay, same with the overlay, we'll say position fixed and full. All right, and then we'll bring the section top, we'll bring it to the front. So we'll set the position to relative, and we'll say 99. Okay, so it comes in front, and it actually should be, yeah, 99, and we'll set the color overlay to 70. Okay. All right, perfect. Nice. So we see the image is in the background. So already we have like a little bit of a parallax effect where the image doesn't move, but we want to move the image. So Manuel wrote, just curious if it would be a real project, would also simply use Apple's preview to resize images and then drag and drop it into Webflow, or would you use additional image optimizing tools? Great question, Manuel. I would probably use image optimizing tools as well, but just to save a little bit of time, I just resize it, so I don't have to go, compress it and then bring it back into Webflow. It also depends on the size of the image. Like if the image is already, like 300 kilobytes or less, I might not take the time to resize it. So, great question. But yeah, I like to use like compress JPEG or compress PNG and just drag and drop and reduce the file size that way. Cool. So nice. I'll continue with this. Just to recap, so we added the top section, it's a grid section. Then we added this middle section, set the height to 100 VH. We added an image wrapper with an image, and this is 150 VH. We set it to fixed and full, and same with the color overlay. So we have that color overlay over the image. All right, and actually, I think I can put the cover overlay inside of the image. No, I can't because I set the image. I gave the image a black and white thing there. All right, so let's have this middle section scroll a bit faster than the site. And the way to do this is actually quite simple. We go to interactions, click the plus, and say while page is scrolling. And then we'll play a scroll animation. We'll click the plus, and I'll say middle scroll section, something like this. And we'll select the middle image wrapper. At 0%, we'll move it. We'll say 0 VH. And then at 100%, we'll say negative 50 VH. All right, so VH stands for viewport height. And is that what I did? Yeah, 50 VH. Okay. So what's going to happen when we preview, as we're scrolling, that middle section is going to scroll faster than the rest of the site, because as it's scrolling, the site that middle section is moving up 50 VH quicker, if that makes sense. Yeah, Photoshop is another great way to do it, Mustafa, for sure. Yeah, as long as your image, I like to say 300 kilobytes or less. I know sometimes that's not feasible, but working in support at Webflow, we always recommended users to use 300 kilobytes images or less. So nice. So as you can see, we have that nice parallax effect. If you can see the mountain, it's scrolling slightly at a different speed than the rest of the site. So yeah, I looked at this site here and I was like, yeah, I want to create that kind of parallax effect where the background is moving different than the foreground. And yeah, so that's how we do that. And looks good. If you wanted it to be even more pronounced, you could, for example, set the image wrapper, you could set it to like 200 VH, and then you could, let's see here, and you could set the movement to be negative 100 VH. And it would just have a different speed to it. Hey, old man SG, thank you. Appreciate it. So just move slightly different. And I think the less height, the better. So I can play with this. So I'm going to say negative 25 VH, and then just for the middle section, do 125 VH. So just playing with it now, but that's essentially what you want to do, is give the middle section 100 VH or however large you want it, and then make the image wrapper inside of it larger, and make sure the middle section has an overflow of hidden, and the image wrapper is set to fixed. And it's hard to explain without kind of drawing a visual, but basically, because the element is fixed, as the site's scrolling, the element's moving at a slightly different speed than the rest of the site. So it's like the site scrolling down and the middle section is moving up a little bit, which gives it a different feel than the rest of the site. Yeah, I think 50 works best. So 150 VH, and then we'll set it to -50 here. If you have any other ideas on how to do this, definitely let me know. That's just one approach I took to making that parallax kind of effect. All right, so it moves at a different speed. And we can get another image just to see it more pronounced. So let's go to Unsplash and let's find people. Let's see. Let's see if I can find a good people, and it should be landscape. Or what's another? I'm trying to find something that would give that parallax effect. What do they have in collections? Let's see. Okay, this is a cool one. This would work. All right, and let's just resize it. Yeah, this one's not 300 kilobytes, but yeah, that's okay. It's just for quick demonstration purposes. And we'll go ahead and replace this image. Cool, this will look nice. Hey John, do you ever use smoothing on scroll animations? I do, yeah. That's another thing we could do to make it even more kind of move a little bit different. That's a great point, Pablo. So we're having publishing issues here on Webflow. So let me reload. Let's try that again. And I'll mention what you're kind of talking about here, Pablo. And just a second. Hopefully it publishes. Yes, okay, great. All right, nice. So we have that nice parallax effect to that middle section. Cool, so what Pablo's mentioning, for scrolling, you can add even more smoothing. So if I set it to 80, we might get a different feel. That actually looks interesting. Let's publish that. I like to preview the scrolling in the browser rather than in Webflow. It just feels a bit different. Yeah, the smoothing kind of throws me off a bit, Pablo. I think 50 was good. If we set it to 0, let's try that, or 20, something really low. We can just experiment with it. And I think you might even be able to add easing to the movement here, and that might affect the movement as well. Yeah, it all depends kind of what you're going for, but I think 50 was good. 50 felt like a nice smooth scrolling. All right, so cool. That part is done. I just wanted to showcase that. The last thing we'll do is for this one, I'm just going to duplicate the class and call this section bottom. And yeah, we'll just duplicate all of these, and I'll say bottom grid wrapper -1. So instead of top, we're saying bottom, and I'll duplicate this, and I'll say bottom grid wrapper 2, and I'll say duplicate this, bottom grid wrapper 3, duplicate this, say bottom grid wrapper 4. I could probably use combo classes. That might save me a little extra step. Bottom grid wrapper 5. Okay, and then for this, I'm gonna go ahead and delete these grid letters for now. And basically, let's see here. So for this, I'm gonna say like this. And this one, that looks good. This one, I'll just span it all 4, and there we go. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I can re-add these letters. So I'll just paste that in there. And I'll just copy and paste these letters. Hopefully the colors work out. Just to save some time, I'm not gonna, well, that's kind of interesting. We'll leave that like that and paste that in there and in here. Cool. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. All right, cool. So I'd probably work on this contrast here, but I'm not going to spend too much more time with it here. Yeah, so basically I just switched up the grid. Like I changed the size of the div blocks to be in different grid cells. So it's kind of like the opposite from this one. We just put the bigger block on the right, and here the bigger block is on the left. All right. Nice. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to showcase. The last thing we'll do is we'll create a grain. I want to cover this step one more time because I think grains are super cool. So we'll just create a quick grain. Let me just grab a drink of water here. And yeah, let's create the grain. So we'll go into Photoshop and I'll create a new project, create for the grain. Yeah, and for this grain, we're going to use a specific color. We're going to use this brown color for the grain. All right, so I'll just copy that there. Let's go into Photoshop and we'll create a new color over a solid color. We'll make it white. Yeah, and so we have this here and we'll add a grain. Let me just double check, make sure it's white. Yeah, okay. We'll add a filter, add noise. Let me undo that. So we'll go with filter, noise, add noise, and we'll convert to, yeah, smart object. Okay, Gaussian, so uniform, amount 15%, and monochromatic is good. Then I'll click OK. So we have the grain, and then I want to go to image, adjustments, invert, then layer, and flatten image. Okay, so there's our grain. Then I'll create a new solid color, and black is okay. And for this one, for this background, I'm going to copy it for this grain. So I'm going to select it. Let me just zoom in, make sure it's a grain. Yep. So I'm going to select this layer 0, copy it, hit Alt or Option, click on the color fill. So I'm selecting this color fill. Then I'll paste that grain in there and we'll hide this bottom layer. So now we have the grain, but we can't see it. And I'll go ahead and let me copy this color again, go into Photoshop, and we'll add a blending option. Go to color overlay, double click, paste that brown color, and click OK. So you can't really see it, but it is there. That speckle is there. And I think if we change the background color, or if we add a solid color of white, this might help. Yeah, you can kind of see that brown speckle. It's very subtle, but it's there. And I'll go ahead and undo that. All right. So now we'll hide this. I'll go to File, Quick Export as PNG, and I'll save the grain. So let me see, I have a grain folder, and this will be grain brown. Okay, so I'll go back into Webflow. We'll go into the page wrapper. I'll add a div, and I'll call this grain-overlay. For the page wrapper, we'll give it a position of relative. The grain overlay we'll set to a position of absolute and full. And then we'll set the z-index to like 199, something much higher. We'll add a background. I'll choose the image. And let me drag and drop that grain. Let's see if I can find it here. Here we go, grain brown. And nice. And then I'll set it to 2x, so it's a nice kind of small grain. It's very subtle, but it looks good. And that's it, and I'll center it. All right, great. Cool, so now we have a grain to the site. And let's see if I can see it. Yeah, it's very subtle, but it's there. So let me hide it just to make sure I can tell the difference. Yep. So it's a very subtle grain, but it's like adds a nice tone to the site, and it looks really good. Yeah, and the last thing we need to do is add a bit of custom code to make sure that the grain doesn't interfere with like buttons and things on the site. So we'll go into home and we'll paste this style code. So it's grain overlay and pointer events equals none. So it doesn't have any pointer events and it won't interfere with the rest of the site. Cool. I think that's all I'll cover for today. I did add kind of a 3D effect to the letters, but I'm not going to cover that today. But yeah, we have a nice grain to the site and looks nice. All right, cool. So that's how we do that. Added a nice parallax effect to the site, worked with grid. So if I make this smaller, we can see the text is smaller. So on really larger screens, the text does become smaller. And this is where you could use kind of that wizardry method. Like you could go to the body, all pages, you know, the all body tag, and set the font size to 1 VW. And then I could set let me hide the grain for a second. I could set the text of the letters to, let's see, 2 VW, 5 VW. It would have to be like something really big. 20 VW, let's do 22. And the top grid letter here, we'll do 12 VW. You'd obviously want to work with the wizardry method. Oh, it's not VW, it's M's, my bad. So this should be 22 M's, not VW. 12M. Yep, I'll make this clonable, Pablo, and I'll send the link now. 12M. 12. All right, and the same for this. We'll do, okay, those are already changed. So now if I go and publish the site, the letters will be responsive. They won't get smaller if you're viewing a really large screen. So essentially the site is just fully responsive. So I think I would have to set the shadows to M's as well, so we can see what happens when I make the browser larger or smaller. The shadow changes. But yeah, you can create like a cool grid responsive site. And let me just go into the shadows and try to work with that a little bit. So shadows I think would have to be 20 pixels, let's see, 2M or 10M, 22M, 30M. Oh, you can't use M's with shadows. I'll just leave it at 20. Yeah, so that's something you might have to, like, would require a workaround. Great, so yeah, let me publish it and share it with everyone. So you can take a look, and I'll bring back the grain. The grain is very subtle, but it's there. Yeah, it's very subtle. I could even add the black grain might appear more. Let me try that. So I have a grain called intense grain. Let's see if that looks better. Grain overlay, choose image. Yeah, the black shows up a bit better. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, maybe I'll do the black so you can see it. That brown color might be too light for the grain. Okay. And I actually don't like that. That's too dark, that grain. Let me replace it. Oh, and center it. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll share this. Okay, so cool. If you have any questions about what I just built, let me know. Just wanted to showcase that. The main thing I want to showcase is the parallax. So, you know, you have a fixed section and then you just move it at a different speed than the rest of the site to create that nice parallax feel. All right, cool. So NSV Logs wrote, "Hi there, I have a question. When it comes to responsiveness, could you explain a bit on it? I'm afraid that my website will look bad on different screens." That's a great question. That is a very kind of like in-depth question as far as like how to make a site responsive. I always recommend using Flexbox or even Grid, those display settings, because for example, on this site, like I can go to tablet, mobile landscape, and mobile portrait, and on tablet, everything's a bit squished. So what I might do here, and I'll hide this grain, what I would do is just go to this section top and I might set it to flex instead of grid. Or if I do leave it at grid, I'll go into grid and just remove a column, right? Or just make it 2 columns. And now by removing 2 columns, I have a much better looking site. So the A is here, B, C, D, E, and I can do the same for this grid. Go into here and just remove 2 columns, right? Now the H is in the middle. You know, I could change the layout here if I wanted to, make the F like this and just drag. Let's see if that affects. No, that's great. So whatever, if I change grid cells on tablet, it doesn't change on desktop, which is super amazing. So you can use grid and just restyle your grid blocks to make it more responsive. And then on mobile landscape, that still looks pretty good. And then mobile portrait, I'm okay with that. Not the shadow is a bit different because you can't add M's to shadows. So that would just take a bit of playing with. Yeah, so I would recommend Flex or Grid. Webflow does have Webflow responsive video. There's a whole course, 101 course. I would recommend this Webflow crash course, and they talk a lot about responsive design in, let's see, styling, layout, responsive design. They have a whole section on it and working with breakpoints and things like that. But as far as like the easiest way to make sites responsive, for me, it's to use display settings like Flex and Grid, where I can just go into the tablet and just rearrange. You know, if I'm using Flex, I can, for example, for section top, I can use Flex here and say vertical, and then all my elements become vertical. For this, I like Grid because I can, you know, have different sized sections here. For sure, yep. Definitely, it's definitely an art. Yeah, I consider making a site responsive more of an art than a science sometimes. The science for me is the tools that we have, like Grid and Flexbox, but the art is like your approach to making it responsive. Like, how do you want to approach it? And you know, we're getting different design systems coming out every so often that help us make things responsive. One is the client first system that I went over a few weeks ago by FinSuite, and they already have like a pre-packaged system that will make your site responsive if you follow their specific structure, their class naming conventions and their classes. You can make your site easily responsive using their design system. Easily is kind of a relative term because I'm sure even using their classes, you might have to fiddle with it a bit to make sure it's, you know, to your liking as far as responsive design. Cool. So yeah, I think that's it for the build. Any questions, any discussions, interesting things we want to talk about, I do like this idea. I'm just going to Pinterest and, just typing in websites and just getting some inspiration from here. Something I might do more, and we'll just find our own images and, try to build out some of these really fancy sites. Like this one, for example. This would be a fun build. Just kind of the layout. There's some really nice layout. It's not just, all perfectly aligned, but it makes for a really nice feeling website. Let's see. This one's nice. I like the shapes in there. Actually, that's kind of cool. Like, let me see if I can get it like a bigger image. Oh, here we go. No, okay. So how they made these images there. Let's do that real quick. That's kind of fun. Let's go. I can even do it on this site actually. So section top. Let me hide the grain overlay. So what they did here is they just added a border radius to the right corner, a very large one, like that. That's kind of cool. So we'll do 50%. Oops. That's kind of cool. 50% and 50%. Or I could vary it. The only thing is the image shows in the background. What I could do is add a color to the section. So I'll add a background color. Make it like this. Yeah. And yeah, just by adding some border radius, you can add some really interesting design to the site. Cool. Here we'll only do and same thing here. We can so just by working with border radius, you can add some abstract shapes to your site and make it look unique. And you can add images in it. So like I'm just, getting inspired off, how they did their images here. See, like there's that border radius there. So if I did add an image here, it would be inside of that border radius. Like that. That's cool. Do you think you can help with it? Oh, John, if you have time, I would like to have a help with a landing page. Yeah, so Old Man SG, that would require super chat. So like whatever you want to give, donate, just helps to support the channel if it's a personal project. Yeah, so if you like, the super chat is that dollars sign symbol in the chat, and you can give whatever you want and we can look at your project in the live stream. Cool. Just like that, we added a bit of flair to the site. Those cool curves. Nice. Yeah, just an abstract design, just wanted to play with it. Cool. 22 viewers. Wow. There's 22 viewers at the moment. That's dope. 20. Okay. Yeah, so the super chat feature, yeah, is just if it's anything related to your personal project. Yeah, and so for anyone who's new here, I do these live streams every Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Central, and we just cover everything and anything relating to Webflow and web design and development. All right, so that could be a fun kind of project to work on. Yeah, we'll see what we come up with tomorrow. My new template's still not out yet, so I'm definitely, waiting, or like gonna be excited to share that with everyone once it does come out. I guess I could share how to create that like 3D effect. So on this initial site, the letters move when you hover. Okay, so this is probably like the fifth time I've been asked about a Discord group. So I think I'm definitely gonna have to do it. So just stay tuned for it. I'll put it on my site once it's available, and I can probably devote 1 to 2 hours a day to helping anyone in the chat, but it could be a nice chat room for everyone to help each other, and we can discuss Webflow. So Discord is coming very soon. I've gotten many requests for it, so I will be creating one. You should do a design portfolio next. Yeah, sure. Send me, if you have an example, NS vlogs, send it and we can see if we can work on it. Like I can type in portfolio website. John, have you ever had a look on SystemFlow, design system for Figma plus Webflow? It looks interesting, but I'm hesitating to give it a try. So let's see. SystemFlow. Bridging the gap between design and development. Using Webflow for client work, us too. Here's SystemFlow in action. Cool. Let's maybe for next week. Yeah. I'll start it this week and probably announce the Discord next week. Yeah, not unfortunately, but I think it might have to be paid. Yeah, because if the value of it will be that we can help each other. I don't know if it'll be free. Sorry. I shouldn't feel sorry about charging a little bit for it because I do have to maintain the Discord. That's not something I wanted to do because I'm kind of busy at the moment, and but I do want to do it because I think it'll be fun, and I could probably devote like an hour to it a day or something like that. But yeah, because I didn't initially plan to do a Discord, but yeah. And it'll just be for members who are really into Webflow. That's kind of why I want to charge a little bit, because then I can be of assistance. You have access to me at least once a day for assistance. So yeah, I value my time. So I just want to make sure that if I am using up more of my time to offer more help or a community where we can share information, then I want to make it worth my while. So sweet, thank you. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Manuel. I appreciate that. I always feel a little bit weird because I do want to help the community as much as I can, but I do kind of have to value my time a bit as far as like adding more things to my plate. So thank you. Appreciate it, NS. Appreciate it. So Yvonne wrote, hi John, I would like to see a custom slider using the slide interactions when in view and out of view. Yeah, let's do it. Sounds good. Yeah, I'll set up the Discord. Discord is really easy as far as like setting up payments and stuff for access to it. But I'll set it up this week, and I'll announce it next week, and we can all just jump into the Discord and talk about Webflow and help each other with different projects. So Eric wrote, hey, I just got here. I just thought about something I want to do, but I don't know how to a pricing calculator with a sliding dial. Do you know how to do that? That sounds pretty involved, Eric. I'm guessing a client recommended that because it is pretty involved. A pricing calculator with a sliding dial. What would the sliding dial do? Hey Marcin, hello. Yeah. Yeah, let me see, get system flow. Oh shoot, yeah. It's $150. Yeah, Manuel, I don't know if I'm going to to try it out. Don't know if, I mean, it might be worth it, but I don't want to pay that much to just try out a system that I might not use. If it was free, I'd definitely go over it. But it could be. I mean, let me know if you want me to cover it and I might check it out. I have to look more into it though. Custom code. Can we do the Webflow multilingual setup? Yeah, that would require custom code, Rashid. So actually, I did talk to the guys from Weglot. They actually reached out to me, and maybe I should, because they wanted me to like maybe advertise them on my site. But Weglot is a good way to make your site multi-language. So check that out. I'll post the link in here. The sliding dial is just a variable that would increase or decrease the price. Yeah, that would be JavaScript. I can look this up. Sliding calculator. Yeah, maybe something like this. I don't know, like this is a JavaScript slider calculator. Enter the bill amount for the meal, 25, and then the tip amount, and it would calculate the tip here. So you could use this script and this code, and you could style it a bit. You'd have to do it with code, but you could add this code and the script and kind of play with that. If you want, we can go over it maybe at some point. I think this would be a super chat for sure. Or something like this. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have a free trial, Manuel. Preview. Oh, we could check out the read only in Webflow. So yeah, I'll check it out and see if it's worth it. Let's see. What else was I? Yeah, I was checking JavaScript slider calculator. Yeah, I think was it Erik? Yeah, I might do some like a search for a sliding calculator and then try to implement a JavaScript into Webflow using custom code. I have system flow and it's good for newbie in Webflow. Nice. So cool. So you might not recommend it for maybe more intermediate users, Marcin? Yeah, I think, you know, if you have something like maybe client first that's free, I'd probably go with that. But let's see, components. Yeah, I can see why a beginner might like this. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's just like drag and drop components. That's fine. Color palettes. Cool. Yeah, very nice. So Naz wrote, sorry for all the questions. Now that I am spending so much time in Webflow, Coding is definitely interesting. I've been designing for 5 years now, and I have a background in CS. Where do you recommend to start learning about JavaScript, CSS, and HTML? Um, that's a great question, Naz. There used to be Treehouse. I know that was like a place to learn code, but I think they stopped Treehouse coding. Yeah, maybe Team Treehouse, and they have videos on different different topics with coding. Also, Skillshare is probably a good place to learn. If you're using Webflow though, you don't necessarily need to learn too much of that. It's always good to have some knowledge of JavaScript, CSS, and HTML because it will help you understand Webflow concepts. But if you're just building in Webflow, then you could probably get away with just understanding how Webflow works and how to build in Webflow. But yeah, definitely coding is a good tool to have, or a good background when designing websites. All right. So yeah, we built a nice site. Very interesting. Oh, cool. Is it possible to use the native CSS and HTML on Webflow and just implement the JavaScript? I've never done that. Yeah, I might be able to go over that tomorrow, Eric. Yeah, W3 School is also good for learning code. Yep, exactly. No Code Conf and John Discord. This will be just great. Yeah, definitely. Yep. So yeah, we're nearing the end of the live stream. So yeah, I'll repeat again. Wednesday and Thursday we're not going to have a live stream. So tomorrow is going to be the last live stream for this week, because No Code Conference is this Wednesday and Thursday. And then after next week, I'll announce the Discord group, and we can all join. And yeah, I'll set up different channels so it'll be nice and organized. All right, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I appreciate everyone joining. This live stream is growing. Every week it seems I get more viewers at a time. So let's see if we can reach that 100 viewers at one time. That would be amazing. But yeah, just one day at a time. Definitely gonna do something cool for tomorrow as well. I'm gonna prepare something interesting for tomorrow, and we might revisit the client first system just to get a bit more practice with that. And yeah, we'll just continue building and getting better at Webflow. So thank you, Naz. Thank you, Manuel. Thank you, Marcin. Thank you, Pablo, Rashid, Eric, Old Man. Thank you, Eric, Rashid, Yvonne. Thanks again, NS, Vlogs, Joey Joe. Thanks everyone for joining. Mustafa, Dylan, Johnny, Yao, and Tazware. Appreciate you. Thank you. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Spread the word about the live stream, and let's get more people into the group. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Nice. All right, everyone. See you tomorrow. Peace.